After years of fundraising and hard work, the Myrtleford community finally opened their new hospital on the 11th of October 1959. Led by two bands, Myrtleford's returned servicemen marched in to hear Sir George Holland, the then National President of the RSL, open the new facility and name it the Myrtleford and District War Memorial Hospital. The town had been serviced by several smaller hospital buildings over many decades, and the opening of this new modern facility was a proud moment for this community. The land where the building stands had been bought in the early 1950s when plans were prepared and fundraising commenced. Government grants were received and the project was given the go-ahead in 1958. Hospital President Charlie Toner had led an energetic management committee, and this combined with a large and enthusiastic ladies' auxiliary brought the construction of the new facility to a reality. The building was upgraded and renovated in 2001 and 2002 to the modern hospital that we have today. But back in 1959, that day in November was a most significant day in this town and district's history. Back in the late 1950s, a helicopter was a real novelty, and this one had come to Myrtleford for tobacco spraying trials and some jaunts over the town for those that were game. Unlike today, Myrtleford from the air, especially from a helicopter, was awesome. While the ride was pretty bumpy and really not ideal for filming, our intrepid cameraman climbed aboard for these pictures of how the town looked back in 1959. Not much has changed in the central part of town, but development in the north had started to grow. A helicopter ride over Myrtleford in 1959. The famous Sun Tour was only 6 years old when this group of riders sped into town late on an October day back in 1959. Sponsored by the Melbourne Daily newspaper, the tour travels the state each year. The highly organised event of today is a far cry from those first Sun Tours when fields of riders were smaller and the support crew only a dozen or so vehicles. In 1959, it was an overnight stay in Myrtleford, with the group leaving Clyde Street early next morning on their way through to Brighton to cross the mountains. Possibly this piece of film records the first Sun Tour to visit our town back in 1959. This home burnt to the ground at Mamungi in the summer of 1959. As always, fire units from country brigades raced to the scene of a fire, and on this occasion the Myrtleford Brigade came to lend a hand. This old piece of film shows the old Myrtleford Chevrolet tanker. This vehicle was bought with public subscription after the war and served the local fire brigade for years. Late last century it was retired and became the Buffalo Creek appliance. On this occasion, the cameraman beat the old unit to the fire and recorded these pictures. In the late 1950s, many community events that have long gone were still the go. Local sports meetings and community picnics, as well as the odd car gymkhana, was held in this district. This event at the Buckland Valley became a mecca for local car cranks of the day, where they raced and manoeuvred their 1959 models around an obstacle course. Who actually organised the events has been lost through time, or even if there was a motor club existed. But Falcons, Zephyrs and Holdens all tossed in for a real fun day in a paddock at Porpunka back in 1959. The first hop-picking machine to come to this valley was imported from Germany by Dan O'Sullivan for use on his farm at Ovens in 1960. Ever since the establishment of the hop-growing industry, the crop had been picked by hand, which attracted hundreds of itinerant workers to the region in March each year. Special trains brought workers from Melbourne in the early years. However, this machine and the ones that followed saw a quick decline in the manual harvesting of the crop. Full hop vines were cut from the gardens and transported to the machine, where they were clipped to a conveyor system, stripped of the ripe hops, which were then transported to the drying kilns. The traditional hand method of harvesting ceased from this day. A new machine installed at Ovens in 1959.